Happy Andor Day to every single one of you guys. Today we're talking episode 8 of Cassian Andor's brand new Star Wars show in full spoilers. So if you haven't watched the show yet, definitely go check that out. Then come back and watch this. And today's kind of a special day because we have 3 Star Wars videos, including this one going up today. Right now we have Tales of the Jedi, the brand new Clone Wars kind of episodic short stories that just premiered also at midnight. So if you want to check out my review, that is also on the channel, as well as a ranking of those episodes will be coming out later today. But again, we're here to talk Andor and continuing with this show. What fantasticness that we are getting here today. And this episode was very special in particular because we see Andor going to the jail. We get an awesome actor that gets to show up there, and I got very excited when I saw he was in this. And we also get more of Deidre and how she is working behind the scenes with the Imperial, the Empire, which I was very into. And in general, how all the stories, like outside what Andor is doing, is kind of starting to coincide and really much collide itself. And we kind of get a follow-up to all the other characters that we didn't get a touch on maybe last week or just in general in the last few weeks. So I do want to start with Andor first because for me, Andor had a lot of important moments in here. And speaking about him, and again, if you are new, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button as well as comment down below your thoughts. But Andor ends up going to jail. He's in this underwater kind of jail thing, which reminds me of some of the stuff from Bad Batch that we got to see in the finale of that show when they had to go out and save Omega, which I thought was, again, cool. But this whole prison facility, just the way that it works, I had no idea what was coming at any turn, who was going to come in, what they were going to be making Andor do. And specifically, we still don't even know what pieces or tools that they're making, unless I missed that for any reason. Part of me feels like this might be assembling a part of the Death Star personally for me, but I could be wrong on that. But the whole way that it kind of works, him getting on the shuttle, him landing there, and them, and just the prosecution that they have for this feels so early Empire-ish, but it really works for everything kind of going in this show. And even when it comes down to when he's about to walk out on the platform, these 2 guards are late. I was sitting there, I'm like, is one of these guards a part of the rebellion? Is they not? I was starting to think, okay, is he even going to be able to go to prison? Is the prison break already going to happen? It doesn't. He ends up going down, getting into this shift, and Andy Serkis appears, which got me so excited because I think Andy Serkis is one of the most underrated actors working today. I think this guy is just a God-sent star, and I love when he shows up in anything. And just his gravitas, and I love using that word specifically for him because of the voice and the performance he always gives. He was obviously Snoke, which was great, but in here, his gravitas works as being the lead shift, kind of saying, this is what I have. I only have a couple days left here, but we are making this work. And I love seeing how everyone's kind of working together there, but as well specifically when it goes down to their cells. Now, Andor has really dove into heavier themes when it comes down into the meaning of war and within Star Wars itself, and I found this to be interesting to see how these cells worked, how in general, like, if they step off this platform, they instantly die. We see one guy pretty much just completely commit suicide towards the end of this episode, and again, it was heartbreaking. But also one of the interesting aspects was seeing how people were asking about Andor, what was going on the outside. And obviously, the thing is us as fans know that Andor went through this rebellion. People are wanting this spark of hope. And I think that's the one thing that I'm really loving about the show, because while this is an origin for the rebellion itself, it's also an origin story for what made Andor get so into this. But at the same parallel of that, it's also showing, like Cyril, for instance, who has a great moment with Deidre in here. You start to see those characters and what their love for the Empire is, what their love for the government is. And seeing 2 different parallels, one who kind of splits away and starts really starting to understand the rebellion more, and then this side over here is very fascinating as well, because everyone's kind of trying to, where we first met them was really much just trying to do their own thing, and I thought that was impressive. Now, jumping off from Andor, we really need to go to Deidre because she is the main crux of this entire story. We saw a little bit of Mon Mothma in here, not a ton. We saw a little bit of Luthen in here, who Stellan Skarsgård is doing a great job. And we get, of course, Forrest Whitaker back as Saw Gerrera, which was great. And they have a great dialogue in there, and that feels like it's going to pay off later down the road. Specifically because we know Saw Gerrera's fate within Rogue One and how that goes. And if you've ever watched Clone Wars and Rebels, I'm pretty sure he appeared in Rebels. But also just anything in this Star Wars timeline. He's showed up in a lot of different places. Those 2 elements were interesting, but not enough for me to really jump into. And even talking about Cinta and I cannot remember, and Vel. Both those characters, again, interesting dialogue to see where they are perhaps, but the rest of this episode really centers on Deidre and Cyril's main start, and where Deidre's ends up going and capturing Bix at the end of this episode. And for me, watching Deidre throughout this, again, you see her loyalty to the Empire and what she wants to give throughout this entire obscenity is absolutely, like, very empowering, and at the same time very interesting to keep watching through scene to scene, even though you completely disagree with her. Her dialogue with Cyril, and then leading into, again, seeing how Bix is trying to get in contact with Andor because Andor's mom's dying, which is sad and sucks because the performance there is great and we know what Andor wanted to do for his mother, but these elements and seeing how Bix cares, and then even getting a little bit of a touch up on Andor's other friend as well. It's all these things tying together, and by the very end of this episode, seeing that Deidre was a major player in this, and she shows up on that planet, she has Bix incarcerated, and leading into there. Again, these ideologies, these battles of all those are the things that truly make Andor the thing that I'm looking forward to each and every week. I have no idea what's going to be going on, and the fact is that Bix is a very interesting character that, again, is one of those characters like Andor who doesn't want to get involved with this, but she cares enough for her friends, her people who look like her family and pretty much are her family in some way, shapes, and form. And I really am curious to see what happens next week, because the best parts about a prequel show is while we know where these characters will end up, we know their fates, some of them at least we do, the rest we don't. We don't know what their motives are, where the twists and turns may rely in there, and I'm absolutely loving Cassian Andor once again. Episode 8 was a great build-up, and I can't wait to see episode 9 and 10. And all sorts of things like that. So thank you so much again for watching this. You guys are really all the best. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts. And again, make sure to go check out my Tales of the Jedi review. But of course, with all that said, may the Force be with us all.